Hey guys, this is What If Deku Was Kratos Part 3, guys. Now, basically, this is going to be the part right before the final part. The final part is going to be pretty long. But just, set in because this is going to be pretty long, so it's going to be like the final part of the series. Now, today, my plan was to record and post a reactive fails video, but my video was lagging too much and I just had to redo it. I'm gonna re-record it tomorrow, Sunday. So you're probably gonna get a video from me on Sunday. And tonight you're gonna get a lot of videos from me, or at least Sunday morning you're gonna get a lot of videos from me. You're gonna get some YouTube shorts, you're gonna get, well, this What If, and tomorrow you're gonna get What If the Team and T were in My Hero Academia. And you're also going to get a couple of the What Ifs, not a couple of the What Ifs. Basically, what ifs you're gonna get this week is going to be this series and What If, the Team and T were in My Hero Academia. But enough talking. You came here for the What If. Let's just dive right into it. So, last time we left off, Deku was on his journey to figure out how to get to Mount Olympus the fastest possible way. It was the obvious way of him climbing the mountain, but that would take way too long, and he would need a, separate force. As he would have, gone and would have walked away, as he eventually would have came to Athena. As Athena would have, told or given, Kratos the tip that, the box of Pandora's box would give him the power needed to travel to Olympus and to defeat his father, and to do whatever he shall please. But the only price is for him to give up the power to her after he's done with his mission. As Athena at this point wouldn't know Deku's true intention, as Deku's true intention was to destroy Olympus and its whole, all the gods. But, she wouldn't know that Deku's true intention was to kill every single god of Olympus. She just thought that he was only for a mission after Zeus, that Zeus would die through this rage and utter, just cleansing of, Mount Olympus. As Mount Olympus would have been threatened by Kratos, as Zeus wouldn't see Kratos as a big threat just yet. Kratos only killed 2 gods, and to Zeus, Hades would easily in the future be replaced by his son, as Hades in this world would have a different son, his son being called, Endeavor. I mean, not Endeavor, that was a different series. Trito, as Trito would have been the son of Hades in this world, as, he would have similar the powers of his father, him taking on the mantle of being the ruler of the underworld himself later on in the years, Zeus making him the new ruler. So the underworld wouldn't be in chaos, but, he wouldn't be as experienced as his father. His father's been around for centuries, decades, and millennia. He's literally the god of hell, or, the Greek version of hell. So, pretty much very simple. He just had to focus more on the underworld. The underworld still had ties and links and bridges broken and cages unlocked, as a lot of the underworld's problems and also rules were broken every single second, as reality and the fabric of the balance of life and death would have been fading away as we speak, as Kratos would have went on his way to figure out where to go on his journey to Pandora's box, as it would have been told that he had to journey through the forest of snakes to get to Pandora's box, as he would have been given a sword by Aphrodite, as Aphrodite's sword would have been a gold sword, completely golden, but with the consistency or the durability of metal only gods use for their most powerful weapons. As Deku would have gone on his journey to figure out and also get the box of Pandora and slay his father and all the gods. As he would have gone through the forest, as he would eventually venture through it, as we get right into the juicy nitty-gritty of the story. Let's dive right into it. So, we see Deku walk among the forest, walking past snakes and other dead corpses, and eventually finding a clearing through the forest. As he would have been looking around, seeing concrete statues, as he would have looked closer and closer, as eventually he would have seen the statues look way too human, way too accurate, way too realistic. As he would start to look around, as he would eventually find a Spartan statue, it being in a shape of terrifying, or being in a shape as the Spartan looked like it, well, was terrified for a sight before it was, carved. As he looked closer and closer, as he would have recognized the Spartan as one of the people that he fought or trained with a couple years back, as he would have remembered that the Spartan went on a quest from a maiden to basically do something. I don't know. But basically, he knew the Spartan, and that's when he knew he was in the forest of Medusa. As he started to look around, and he started to get more, guarded up, as his guard would be on top tier. Him literally focusing on the littlest and most, subtle of movements. Knowing that from the stories, Medusa is a very sneaky and slithery person or being able to trick and even manipulate other people and even gods to do her bidding most of the time, but not being as accurate as other gods like Persephone that can persuade, gods and humans to do basically anything. Now, what happened is Deku started to look closer and closer, as eventually a couple snakes would have started to swarm around him and try to attack him, as Deku would have easily brushed and literally plowed through them with blades of chaos, making a bunch of snake carcasses. As eventually he would have heard a rattling noise that was way too big to be a normal rattlesnake. As in this world, let's just say that any type of snake lives in the Greek world, like any type of snake, I don't care, rattlesnakes, whatever. So what happened is he would have started to look around, as eventually Medusa would have come out of nowhere, grabbing Deku's back and throwing him into the ground. As Deku would have started to tussle with Medusa, pretty much boa constricting him on the floor, as she would have started to taunt him and even tease with him a little bit, saying that the demigod, the ghost of Sparta, comes here to do what, I presume, as he's trying to get out of the chokehold, or basically, boa constrictor attack, as he tries to go against the force, but it's even tighter than he thought. As she would have said that it's an honor to meet the person that's supposed to bring down Olympus and kill all the gods. You don't look like much. As Deku would have looked at her, saying, I am much. As he would have started to, fire up the blades of chaos, as he would have started to burn the Medusa's scales and, tail. Medusa would have yelled out in pain, as Deku would eventually cut her tail off, as she would have been nothing but a top half. As she would have started to try to slither away or crawl away, as basically Medusa's tail would have slowly started to regrow, but not fast enough for her to actually get away or even start to even get up. As Deku would have started to walk closer and closer, him eventually walking towards her and taunting her and saying that the gods will face their wrath. The gods have wronged people on this earth, wronged me for too long. As Medusa says, why is your gripe with all gods? The only person that ever made your life horrible was the god, hate. Ares. Ares was the only god that wronged you. Why are you after all of us? Why are you after everybody else? As, pretty much Kratos would have said that because Zeus gave Ares his power. Zeus let Ares continue his reign, his pillaging, and also he eventually, and I know Zeus knew what Ares was going to do to me. I will never let anything happen to that. I'll never let anything like that happen to anybody else in Sparta, anybody else in Greek or Greece. He would have said, what, Greek? What are you talking about? As he would have said, doesn't matter. But you all know that you're not going to get out of this situation, Medusa. Medusa would have pleaded for her life, saying that I never did you any wrong. You came to my forest. You came to my domain. What was I supposed to do? Let you just walk around? As, Medusa would have been told by Deku, saying, yes, that's exactly what you were supposed to do. But I said, any god that would get in my way, I would kill to get the Zeus. But let's be real, all the gods will side with Zeus, so I would have to kill all of them. As he says that Poseidon is the next one on my radar. Poseidon's the only one that will go against me next. That's the strongest out of all of them, as he's the god of the seas. As basically, well, Kratos goes on to say that it's going to be the end for Olympus, and that I'm coming, and that, well, Zeus, either if he likes it or not, is going to die, and he's not going to get away with what he's done. As pretty much, well, Odysseus says, what has he done to you? He says, he abandoned me as a child. He moved me to Sparta, and he killed my mother. As Medusa said, you don't know. Your mother, and Deku wouldn't really want to listen to this anymore. So you would have slashed off Medusa's head, saying that it's enough out of you. He would have grabbed Medusa's head, putting it in a sack nearby as he would have started to walk off. Him holding her hand, basically putting it on her waist, knowing that Medusa's head will come in handy later on. As he would have gone through the forest, passing mountains and hills, eventually coming across a clearing, well, near a mountain area, as his mountain would have been the holding place of, well, Pandora's box. As he would have started to climb the box, or climb the mountain, as eventually he would have went on his very gruesome journey up the mountain to get to Pandora's box. As about 4 hours would have gone by of Deku just climbing and walking up hillsides of the mountain, and eventually coming across a temple on the top of the mountain, a pretty big, very narrow temple, as he would have started to walk towards it, as it would have been constructed like a maze, like a labyrinth, where the Minotaur was in Greek lore. Sorry. So he would have started to walk through the maze, the labyrinth, as he would start to walk and make pretty much random turns left and right, trying to figure out how to get there, eventually passing multiple exits, but all of them being too obvious, and all of the exits being leading outside of the maze and not near Pandora's box. As he walked for hours and hours, eventually 2 or 3 hours going by, and Deku finding no progress, as eventually he would have lashed out in rage, as he would have started to break against the walls using the blades of chaos, and eventually coming across a armory. As he would have looked across, as he would have seen some plates in armor, as that's how Deku would have attained his armor plates, or, well, armor would have been different from his original armor, as it would have been forged out of the blood of a god, as this armor would have been forged from the very first wounding Zeus ever got on his earlier days of being a young god, as it would have been forged from the first blood drop of Zeus, as it would have been the most oldest armor in the world, the most ancient and most powerful, as it would have been in the labyrinth, Zeus hoping that no one would ever find it, as it is the only armor that Zeus cannot penetrate against. But it is a very small piece of armor. So Deku just grabbed it, not knowing the origin behind it, but needing it because he felt vulnerable in this form, because he was just wearing a tunic and basically shirtless with the blades of chaos on his forearms. So Deku put it on as it fit surprisingly perfectly, like it was made for its body, where it was his journey to find this, or his purpose, as he would have gone on with his mission or his quest, eventually finding the lair where Pandora's box was. Him walking towards the box, but him getting hit with the furious, straight up earth-shattering punch by a freaking Minotaur, as he would have been thrown down to the ground like a ragdoll. As Deku would have started to get up, coughing up blood, as he would have looked up, as the Minotaur would have been 10 times bigger than in the stories or the lore that he's read about, and Minotaur being incredibly muscular, basically near the same level as Hercules, as he would start to tussle with Deku, as Deku would start to dodge and weave attacks, him punching, and him trying to grab one attack or grab one punch, as it would have semi-worked, but the Minotaur using his other hand to sucker punch Deku upside the forehead, as Deku would have been slammed down to the ground yet again, making a crater, as Deku would have gotten up, summoning the blades of chaos, but the Minotaur grabbing the blades of chaos or the chains, ripping them off of Deku's arms, as Deku would have yelled in pain with the blood gushing from his forearms. As Deku would have looked up, as he would have started to summon the blades of chaos back to his forearm, making the bleeding stop by suturing
the marks of the blades or the pretty much chains, as he would have looked up to the Minotaur saying that's enough, as he would have started to basically butcher the Minotaur, swinging and slashing basically, well, his blades into the Minotaur's chest, eventually decapitating the Minotaur and taking its horn as a trophy. As he would have looked around, seeing that no one was else around, he would have started to push Pandora's box, about to open it. As before he can open it, a huge tidal wave floods the mountain. As Deku's on the ocean ground or beach area, as he would have coughed up some blood and also water, as he would have gotten up, as he would have seen Pandora's box a couple feet away from him, as he would have started to walk towards it, as Poseidon would have appeared out of nowhere, grabbing the box and chucking it towards a merman-like person, Triton, Poseidon's son. As he would have started to get away with the box, as Poseidon would have looked at Deku saying, I cannot allow you to have that. I cannot allow you to have Pandora's box. I've heard the stories. I've heard what Athena has told you. I have eyes everywhere. Water is my eyes, my ears. As Poseidon would have said that, well, Deku cannot have the full power of a true god, plus the 10% power he gained from slaying Ares in Hades. I cannot allow you to have that much power, Deku. As Deku would have said, you cannot deny me my vengeance. If you deny me my vengeance, I will kill all of Olympus. As Poseidon says, you already were going to do that, and I cannot allow that to happen. As Poseidon would have started to conjure up tidal waves, saying that if you try this again, if you come after Pandora's box, I will flood and I will kill everybody in Sparta, including your little friend, Atreus. As Deku would have been filled with rage, saying that if you ever say his name, I'll cut your mouth out. As Poseidon would have said, you can try. As he would have started to fade into the water, him withering away and basically merging back into the ocean. As what would happen is Deku would have got out in rage, him saying that he will find you, Poseidon, and he will kill you. Poseidon at that point, he was just an illusion, or a water mimic, as he wasn't actually there in the flesh. The true god wasn't really there. As, well, Deku would have gone back to Sparta, as he would have been unsuccessful with his journey to find, well, basically what he was looking for. As he would have started to walk off, as eventually he would have let his guard down. Poseidon knowing this, as he would have struck a huge tidal wave, or pretty much blow the ocean, or push, as the ocean current would have grabbed a piece of spear, or a spear that was launched into the beach area, it basically propelling itself forward, stabbing Deku in the back, killing him, as Deku would have fell onto the ground. As this would be the first time Deku would have died. As Deku would have been on the ground, coughing up, bleeding, looking at the blade, it pierced in his chest. Poseidon would have laughed, saying that that problem is solved. As what happened is, well, Deku would have been grabbed by the claws of the underworld, as they would have claimed their prize, as by far, another world, another dimension, another cage, where the gods made. Gaia would have been watching, with the power and the help of the other titans, bringing Deku back. As Deku would start to fight against the claws and hands of Hades, as eventually he would have found his way to another dimension, well, the world of the dead. Basically finding himself in the world of Thanatos. As Deku would have looked around, seeing multiple damned souls, and also other things such as gravediggers and other things like that. As eventually, he would have figured out that he was at the resting place, the birthplace of where people would figure out or how people will be decided either if they die or live. As Deku would eventually venture to mountain to, well, place to place, to shrine through this dimension, through this realm, as eventually he would have found the kingdom area. As he would have walked up these stairs, looking at Thanatos. As Thanatos would have looked at Deku, saying, "You're here. I've been waiting. Also says, I heard you killed Ares and Hades. Me and Hades shared a complicated relationship, but he kept the realms in check. The underworld is now in chaos, and now, once I have my duty to kill somebody, to take their souls when their time comes, there's no real place for them to really go that will be secure enough to keep them there. A lot of people are starting to come back from the dead, Kratos. You know you destroyed the fabric, everything that makes this circle of life a circle. They are gods for a reason, and you have slain 2 of them already. Do you really want to slay the god of all gods? You know how much chaos that will bring? As Deku said, I do not care. I only care of my vengeance. As, well, Thanatos was said, if you only care about your vengeance, I cannot allow you to do this vengeance no longer. As Thanatos would have started to conjure up magic in his hands, or powerful black flames in his hands, looking at him, saying that enough is enough. As Thanatos would have been played or looked like, or a different version of, well, Azawa. As Azawa Eraserhead would have been this version, or this universe's Thanatos. Also Poseidon. Poseidon would have been this version of, I don't even know. Because, well, the Poseidon version I'm looking for doesn't really fit any type of description or look. So we'd have to say that, it's just Poseidon. Straight up, just like Poseidon. But what happened is, well, Deku would have started to fight this version of Thanatos. Thanatos would have started to barrage him with flame attacks or pretty much magic attacks that started to decay anything they touched. As Deku would have seen that the blade slightly grazed the blades of chaos, as some rust would have started to build up in the blades of chaos, as he would have flamed them up, making the dust or the rust pretty much flame away or burn away, as he would eventually make a little bit of a dent in the blade, as he would have seen that his power is very powerful, as it would be a lot or a good addition to his power set, as he would start to dodge more and more attacks, him eventually weaving and dodging, as eventually he would start to straight up hit his hands on Thanatos, as Thanatos would have started to lose very badly in the first 15 minutes of the fight, as Kratos would start to go ham on Thanatos, as Thanatos would eventually fight back with a huge blast of energy, pushing Kratos down to the ground, as Kratos would have gotten up saying, finally, God with some meat on his bones, as he would have looked up at Thanatos saying that you finally gave me a real good fight. Now it's time for us to really let loose. As he would have started to pretty much let the blades of chaos start to spin around in the air, making it a type of force for deflection, as how Michelangelo in the Ninja Turtles universe flings or swings his nunchucks to make a shield type of or block. As he would start to block more Thanos' attacks, the blades of chaos getting weaker every blast, as Deku would eventually just make a facade that his blades weren't getting weaker. As it would start to look closer and closer, as Thanatos would start to blast him more and more, eventually Deku burned up the blades as hard as they can get, slicing Thanatos into 2. As Thanatos would have looked over, as he would have had fell over yet, but him knowing that his waist was bleeding, as he would have mustered up the last bit of stuff he had left, him saying that you will never win, he will never let you win, as Deku says, I'm pretty sure the gods know I'm coming no matter what. Death couldn't stop me, not even you. As he would have started to push the top half of Thanatos off his bottom half, making him and his bottom half disconnect, dying, as Thanatos would have been there lying dead. As Deku would have looked around, as he would have started to walk down the stairs, basically find his path out of the underworld, out of this world, this version of the underworld, Thanatos' dimension. As he would eventually find himself back on Earth on his dead corpse, as his dead corpse would have been healed completely already, the spear being out of his body. As he would have started to walk off, as he would eventually back on his journey to go to Atlantis to find the box of Pandora's box. As he would have gone down into the ocean, him eventually finding a opening to Atlantis. As at this point, he would just be swimming straight up. As Deku would have attained one of the powers of Thanatos, the Death Blast, but none of the other extra powers Thanatos already had. He would be able to know when people were going to die, and also he would know exactly pretty much how much time people have lived. He would also be able to decay objects by a touch or a blast of energy, being pretty powerful now. As it wouldn't really add anything to his strength, since Thanatos wasn't really the strongest of gods, but he was the most powerful in terms of magic and abilities, but not in terms of pure raw strength. What would happen is, well, other than that, he would have found his way down into Atlantis. Him coming on the city of Atlantis, seeing multiple water-like creatures like lagoon creatures, merman, and other things like that. As eventually he would have found his way to the beginning, or the very entrance of, well, was it the throne room of Poseidon. At this point, Poseidon wouldn't know Kratos was here yet, surprisingly, as Kratos would have looked up, as he would have walked up the stairs, eventually finding the box of Pandora's box in the throne room, him walking towards it, but him being stopped by Poseidon, as Poseidon would have been really there, his body being really there, as he would have looked at, well, Kratos saying that enough is enough, as I cannot let you do this, I cannot let you destroy and bring the end of Olympus. The death of Olympus will be the death of us all, and you know this, you should know this, as Ares and Hades, their influence, their rage, and also the rage of Kratos would have been boiling up in Kratos' heart, saying that Olympus denied me my vengeance. My father killed my mother. Ares took everything away from me, love of my life and my unborn child. I do not care about the fabric of life or death. I only care about my vengeance, and I only care about the blood I will get back. I do not care about the life and death of this world. I would not care if Olympus burns down and all of and all of the people in it will die. Every god that will get in my way will die. You have wronged me for the last time, Poseidon. I had no quarrels with you before, but I will kill you, and I will enjoy it. I will slaughter you like an animal, because I hate you. I hate all gods, and they will all slaughter. They will all die by my hands. They will all only see one face before they die. Mine. As Ares would have, well, from afar, not Ares, but Poseidon would have looked from afar, saying that, are you truly that rage? Are you truly certain you want the death of Olympus? Are you truly certain you want all of its inhabitants on Greece, Sparta, everywhere? They will die, and you should understand this. As Deku says, I do not understand. I understand perfectly. As I do not care what happens to Olympus. I do not care what happens to the world or Earth. I only care about my vengeance, and I only care about one thing: having Zeus's head on a platter. I want him dead, and that is one thing I will get. As, well, Poseidon would have said, well, you're gonna have to go through me first. As, pretty much, well, Deku would have said, I'll make sure I'll go through you. As they would have started to fight, as their fight would have started to crumble or shake, would have started to crumble and shake Atlantis. They would have started to fight, rumbling and tussling, as eventually Deku would start to get powered by water attacks and being flooded over and over again, and also drowned a little bit, as it would have been chucked down to the ground, Poseidon making water constructs like Green Lantern to basically mush him and push him away, and also bat him and hit him with water constructs like a water mallet, hammer, sword, and, well, pretty much staff, as it would have been hit over and over, being stabbed, cut, punched, and the fight would have been very one-sided, as Poseidon would have started to body Deku, As Deku would start to get body left and right being chucked down to the ground, as Deku would start to get up, coughing up more blood and water, as he would have almost contemplated giving up and basically saying mercy, but he didn't want to do that. He couldn't do that. He was a Spartan. He couldn't lose. And he's also, Deku, to be honest, he's the new god of war. As Deku gets up, as he would have grabbed the Blades of Chaos, him chucking them or stabbing them right in Poseidon's stomach. Poseidon would get out in pain, shooting a huge, very high pressure blast of water towards Deku, pushing him onto his back. As Poseidon would have pulled the Blades of Chaos out of his back, him basically flooding into the water of Atlantis, basically making his wound instantly heal, as he would have been well in his element, as Deku wouldn't really have a chance to beat him in his element. He had to get him somewhere dry. He had to get him somewhere higher up away from the water, as he would have started to fight up against pretty much, well, Poseidon. As he would have started to fight Poseidon more and more, him eventually getting drowned by the water, but basically, well, Kratos trying to get back or fight back against Poseidon, as he eventually would have got him towards a beach area, as he would have started to fight him hand on hand.
Started to become more of a draw between two of them, as they would have started to hit each other with equal blows, equalizing with their, well, immense power by themselves. But since Poseidon was a full-blooded god, and also literally in his element, since they were on a beach, they weren't really far away from the water, Poseidon started to win, shooting water attacks and also pretty much blast the water in Kratos' eyes, making him disorientated, as he would start to get pummeled down into the sand, as eventually Kratos would have went, well, unconscious, as Poseidon would have still been beating him down to a bloody pulp, as he would have had a vision, or a mindscape, as he would have woken up in a land of the dead, a type of world where it is a crossing worlds for souls that were never really fulfilled anything in their life, did anything, as he would have walked towards door to door, him seeing one door that he was drawn to, as he would open the door, being transported into his old family house, the house he shared with Ochaku, as he would have seen a vision, a different future of him and Ochaku, if he never took that deal from Ares, and if he fought and won against the barbarian without Ares' help, he would have had a beautiful life. Without Ares in the picture, without Ares' influence and his power and his deal, Kratos would have had a family, as Deku would have looked at an older version of himself with a beard, him pretty much, well, caring for his son, caring for his daughter and his wife, as he would have seen Ochaku be pregnant again, as she would have had one coming on the way after, well, Deku's child will be born, as Deku would have sat there crying, as he would have, well, been filled with way more rage than before, as he knew he could have had this life if it just wasn't for the gods. As, well, Deku would have came back into consciousness, as he would have grabbed the next blow Poseidon throws towards him, as he would have broke Poseidon's arm, grabbing him by the throat and chucking him into the sand, as he used all his strength to boost himself upwards, making a Hulk jump, as he would have landed near the pretty much drowned or flooded, pretty much, well, was it a labyrinth, as he would start to throw and punch Poseidon through the walls, eventually them coming towards a clearing, as the clearing would have been near a cliffside area, the same cliffside area, or near a cliffside area where, well, original Poseidon would have been killed in the God of War game, as he would have started to throw Poseidon around, as eventually he would have gotten up, saying, and actually starting to beg for his life, as he knew at this point he was way too weak and he was way too far from the water to fight against Deku any longer, as Deku was started to beat him senseless, eventually him telling him that you can't get away from this, as he would have started to say that, or Poseidon would have said that if you kill Olympus, if you kill all the gods, Olympus will fall and Earth will be drowned, Earth will be burned, incinerated, death, life, it would all be ruins. You will destroy the very world it is. You are going to be the end of of everything. As he would have said, there are different realms, and there are different paths. I do not choose my path. I make it. As he pretty much starts to, well, beat the ever-living, I can't say it, but just beat Poseidon senseless. As Poseidon would have been coughing up gallons of blood, looking like he should have died hours ago. Or, well, the beatdown would have been an hour. I'm not even gonna lie. Deku would have been punching on him for a solid hour. Poseidon surprisingly still being awake. Poseidon would have looked at him, begging for mercy, as he said, nah. For this next part, you don't even need your eyes. Poseidon would have said, what? As he would have said, remember how you said the water is your eyes? Let's test that theory. As Poseidon would have said, no, get back, now, get back! As he would have started to cry and beg for his life, literally begging. As Deku would have said, a god begging for his life. So pathetic. As he would have started to bulge out Poseidon's eyes, making him blind. As he would have grabbed Poseidon by the throat, saying that enough is enough. As he would have ripped Poseidon's head clean off his shoulders, throwing his dead carcass into the water below, over the cliffside. As the water and the wells and everything would have started to flood, buildings and around them would have started to, well, drown, and yet again, another god of Olympus would have fell to the hands of Kratos. He would have walked away as the water in the nearby areas would have been flooded. People would have been drowned, and, well, Olympus would have, well, became weaker. As 3 gods would have been slain by Kratos' hands, including Medusa, one of the most fearful and monsters in Greek lore. As he would have started to walk off, as he would have been stopped by Zeus. As Zeus would have been there in, well, not really there, but as a mirage or lightning. Basically, a silhouette of blue energy in the form of Zeus. As I'm not going to describe Zeus' depiction or who was playing Zeus, but let's just say Zeus is a certain number 1. As he would have looked at Deku and saying that, my son, you cannot do this. You need to stop. You have killed too many gods. And look around you. The waters are dim. The ocean life is flourishing out of... Water isn't going where it's supposed to be. Rain isn't happening. This world, this kingdom, Sparta, Greece, everything will fall if you kill all the gods. As Kratos would have known that Zeus wasn't here, him saying, if you really cared, if you really wanted to stop me, you would be here now. That shows me that you're scared of me. That shows me that you don't want to actually fight me. That shows me that you are a coward. You are a weak god. As Kratos would have been shot with electricity from the sky. As Kratos would have gotten up, coughing up blood, as he looked at, well, the silhouette of Zeus, him saying that, as a warning, my son, if you kill another god, I'll make sure you won't kill a god again. You won't be able to kill anything again. I will send you and I will punish you into eternal damnation. Stop this at once, my son. I would have thrown you in a very, very dark place if you weren't my son. So stop now. As Kratos said, never! As Kratos would have been hit by a bolt of lightning, Zeus thinking he killed his son, as he would have shocked out or faded away, his construct being faded away, as Zeus would have thought that Kratos was dead, walking away from Mount Olympus, pretty much lowering down his lightning bolt, as he would have walked off, thinking that he succeeded in taking down Kratos. As hours later, Deku being on the ground, as he would have opened his eyes, as he would have seen Atreus over top of him saying that, are you okay? Are you okay, brother? As he would have said, I'm okay. As he looked around saying, what's going on? As he would have said, I don't know. But as he would have looked down, him seeing a knife in his rib. As he looked over, as he would have seen Bakugo, or, well, Deku's brother. As he would have thrown Atreus into a nearby stone statue, as he would have kicked Kratos off the cliff area into the water. As the water would be a lot lower, because, well, the god of water, or the lord of water, would have been gone. As he would have gotten up,
as he would have started to swim to shore, as Bakugo would have followed him, jumping down into the water after him. As they would have started to tussle in the water, eventually them getting to a beach area, as they would have started to fight yet again and again. As eventually, their fight would have led to pretty much miles away, as they would have been fighting for hours, their bodies being exhausted, and overall them looking like hot pieces of mess, as they would have just been literally running off fumes and hatred at this point. As eventually, Kratos would have tried to end the fight between his brothers, saying that enough is enough, that you need to stop, I don't want to kill you. As, well, Bakugo says that you destroyed my life. You damnationed me. Your existence, your prophecy, led to my exile, led to my life. I spent my whole life in that hellhole Hades made. I spent my whole life in the underworld, and you think you could just free me and all is good? You are not my brother. You are my enemy. As he would have started to kick Deku in the shin, as he would have thrown fists with him, basically making a landing killing blow that would have killed a normal person right on the neck. As Deku would have fell onto the ground, coughing up blood, him not being able to speak, and him gasping for air, as he would have pleaded with his brother. As his brother would have put his foot over top Deku's chest, saying that enough is enough, and I will kill you as you stand, brother. Enemy. I don't really care, but the night you die. As he would have grabbed a sword off the ground, a Spartan sword, as he would have about to stab, well, Kratos, as out of nowhere, Atreus would have jumped down, sucker punching Bakugo straight in the jaw, knocking him out cold. As he would have looked over at Bakugo, as he would have walked off and looked back at Deku, as he helps up Deku, his friend, as Deku says, why did you do that? How are you still standing? As he would have said that, well, a nearby, let's just say, sorceress gave me this. As he would have opened pretty much a bag or pouch on his side, it being a glowing green apple, some sort of healing product. As he would have said that it can heal you from any injury, but once you take one bite out of it, it's done. I only have 2 more left. The other one is upstairs. The other one is up there. I already took a bite out of it and it's useless now. As he would have told Kratos that we need to go back to Sparta, and I have to show you something. As Deku would have been back at Sparta, as he would have looked over towards his brother, as he would have said, I need to get back on my journey. As he would have said, Sparta is going to war. As Kratos would have been confused, saying, what do you mean war? With who? Where? When? As he would have said, the gods are making a war against us, brother. As he would have said that God Hermes, the god of sun, and multiple other Olympian gods are facing us with their own armies. As Sparta will have to fight for their lives. A fight that will have to go down in history. A fight that might destroy Sparta itself. As Kratos says that I need to stop this. I need to stop the gods. As he would have said that their armies are connected to their, well, figures. If I kill the gods, the armies will fall, and the war will be over. As he says, the war starts in 15 hours. They already set their mark. They said, bring the head of Kratos, or Sparta will fall. As Deku goes on saying that they would not have my head, and they would not have Sparta. As he would have got it up, saying to Atreus to when he is needed below this horn. As he would have taken out a horn from the Minotaur earlier, surprisingly, the Minotaur's horn being actually hollow enough to actually make a horn type noise. As he would have said, stand at the top, the highest point of Sparta, and blow that. I will hear it. I guarantee you that. As he would have walked off, as Atreus would have looked down at it, basically contemplating about how Sparta is going to win this war. 2 armies against 1. They needed to train and they need to act fast. As their boundaries, defenses, and everything would have been on 10 times, basically being up to 100, as they would have been preparing for the end of Sparta. As we would get switched to Deku coming towards a shrine, as Guy would have appeared there in a reflection in the water, as he would have told Gaia that the war is happening, that this is the night the gods will fall, we need to do this now. As she would have said, let's do it then, Kratos, ghost of Sparta. As Kratos would have smiled, as they would have gotten ready for their war against, well, Olympus. As he wouldn't really smile, he would smirk, but he wouldn't actually smile like genuinely smile. He would like smirk, kind of like a nice little grin. But they would have gone on to their mission, their, well, war against Olympus. As the Titans would have been climbing up the mountains, or the mountain of Olympus, as Zeus, Hermes, and multiple other, well, gods, and also pretty much demigods would have seen this, as he would have told them all to get ready for a war and get ready to kill Kratos. As they would have gotten ready, as Zeus would have been contemplating about his lightning bolt. A lightning bolt that would normally kill somebody like his son, as like Hercules, barely even killed or even hurt Kratos. As he would have started to contemplate more, thinking about how Kratos might be the one that would end Olympus, but he couldn't let that happen. Now we could switch to Deku, as he would have told Gaia to go on with the war against and keep on climbing. As he would have climbed down the mountain, jumping off of Gaia, falling down head first, as he would have gone on another mission to find some weapons to succeed at his goal. As he would have gone back to Atlantis, as he would have broken through Atlantis, him grabbing the box and him getting, well, and going upwards into the ocean waters. As he would have opened the box, as he would have imbued with the power of a god, as he would have crushed Pandora's box, as he would have looked at his hands, him seeing pure and utter power coursing through his veins, as he would have seen that the power, the fury, the rage, it all came down to this. Tonight, everything will fall. As Deku goes on, and eventually comes near another area or another entrance near Olympus, as it would have found the same angel-like creature, or basically, well, God with wings. As you looked at him, at first thing, he wouldn't really care what he said. He'll look at his back saying, I'll take those. As the guy would have said, what? As he would have grabbed him, literally ripping them shits off, bro. I mean, just, like, straight up popping them off like a Lego. I mean, just ripped them off clean, like a turkey leg, bro. As he would have just thrown them on his back, as he would have said thanks, as he would have kicked them off the ledge, as he would have flew away from that area, him getting back on top of Gaia, saying that he's ready for the war. As he would have started to conjure up his weapons, his armor being on, he would have grabbed his Spartan armor, as he would have been prepared for a war, a fight of his life. As he would have said that it was one thing he had to pick up before he came here. One thing he truly needed to use. The sword of Olympus. It being imbued with the newfound power he got from, well, Pandora's box. As he would have looked up to the sky, Zeus looking down at him, making eye contact, as they would have known from this point on, tonight will be the war, the battle of Olympus, the last stand of all of Greece. Now I'm gonna leave it up here, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this little fanfic. Now part 4 will be the end of this, and it will be the most action-packed. Deku will basically go all out, and I might keep some gods alive. I don't know. I might change the story even more, because I changed the story a lot based off the original games. I kept some of the original characters and plot, but not really, because I want to do my own thing. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.